Right, guys, I'm just going to do a quick follow-up from yesterday. I know I did the first BZT video. Now, we did think it was going to bang, and it did bang. I didn't think it was going to bang, though. It did move a lot faster than expected. But again, I mean, this is atypical of this stock, right? I mean, you've only got to look at some of these patterns and how quickly the stock moves. And like I said yesterday, this is extremely liquid. Now, as you can see, we did come up and test the weekly 200. Now, this is our Bertha, right? This is Big Bertha. And this is the baby that we've got to beat, okay? So you can see we did cross Bertha. I mean, we've crossed it once before here. We touched on it here. And we crossed it again here, but you can say the sellers obviously sold under this line. Now, I have to admit, I did trim a bit of my position off as well. I've got a core holding, but then I also have like a peripheral position, and I'll trade around my position in the market. So I did trim a little bit off, and I've already rebought back into the stock with this. Now, I can see on a lot of the socials, Twitter and LSE and whatnot, I think when the stock's going up, everyone's very happy. When the stock pulls back or is going down, everyone's fucking pissed. People are getting defensive, you know, giving each other reasons to why the stock, you know, trying to make themselves feel better. But this is just typical market movements. There's nothing wrong with this. I mean, as you can see, this move. I mean, this move at the moment looks beautiful. Okay. But I mean, it on the smaller time frames, yes, it was overextended. I mean, here's an example right now. This is the 4-hour chart. Like I said, you had all the fresh volume in there. We had the initial breakout. We had the break of the previous little swing high here. But look, I mean, the RSI was coming into overbought conditions. It was kind of overcooking itself. Now, the minute the RSI starts overcooking itself like that, you're just asking for a pullback. Now, the RSI doesn't necessarily completely govern when the pullback happens, because, you know, it can be the case that the RSI runs high, you know, it consistently runs high throughout a bullish continuation. The RSI would kind of like tick along the highs while the price increases. But when you've got these big moves like this, and these big moves into resistance and into significant resistance, I mean, you're going to get a pullback and you're going to get some level of consolidation. Now, I know last year we had this big drawback here, this big 5-6 month pullback, but we're just not going to get it this time. In one of the Telegram groups last night, one of the guys put up there and showed that this was, I mean, it completely corresponded. This was all warrant selling. A lot of the sales happening here were warrant selling, and the chances are, if there wasn't a huge amount of warrant selling going on in here, we probably would have broken through and maybe caught support on it. But anyway, so we're here now. We've had the test. Now, I think we've got a few days of consolidation ahead of us. I would like to think that, I mean, look, you kind of just draw a line like this and look at the lower time frames. So if that's like almost like a projection of the, make it a little bit neater like that if you want, make it sort of like this. And so this is a projection of the weekly 200, all right? You go down to like the 4-hour. I mean, I think the moving averages haven't even caught up yet. They're still quite low. Obviously, on the lower time frames, they're going to be a little bit closer. But really, you want these to start pulling up. Okay, this is what's going to give you that level of support. So I think you probably, and again, I don't govern the market. All right, this is kind of just my opinion. But you're probably going to get like I'd like to see like a pattern like this until the moving averages really start to come up, okay? And then what you're going to get is you're going to get the moving averages swinging up, and that's going to give you that really nice cradle of support to help push the price through. On top of that, you know, we may not get news until next week anyway. So there'd be no reason for the price to continue burning up, and that's a good thing, all right? Because you don't want to become, the more overextended you become without finding support, the bigger chance there is of crashing right back down to earth. All right, so every leg up you have, you want to consolidate, you want to pull back, you want to let the indicators cool off a little bit, and then that supports another run. Now, when I did trade into this morning in a very, very marginal way, like I said, it was only a very marginal trade. I've still got my core position that I'll let sit in the market. I did actually manage to catch it pretty much at the high. Now, the spread on BZT was roughly about 10%, okay? Now, this candle went all the way up to 40, and I think I got out about 37.1. All right, so even though the price went up to 0.4 of a pence, okay, you're not going to get out at that price because that is the ask price. Okay, that's the price people want you to pay when you buy it. But if it's got a 10% spread and you sell, you're only going to be able to sell at the bid. Okay, now I must have got out at the very top of the bid. Which was probably about here at the time. But look, this is again a textbook move because you've come up so fast, and we did the old bang bangs. You've come up right into an area of resistance here. You can see this candle here on the daily. You can see this candle here. Now that also being a whole number 40, that's obviously an area, a psychological area of resistance. All right, people who aren't into trading and aren't setting their own fixed levels of resistance and support are going to have whole numbers in their head when they think about selling and buying. They're not going to, unless you're a little bit special, right? You're not going to have decimal placed, sell targets or buy targets. You're not going to have it. You're going to say, I'm going to sell at 40, I'm going to sell at 50 or whatever. Now, this was an obvious area that was going to come into play with resistance. Again, this area was above the weekly 200, so this is going to be an area people are going to start taking profits. And you can see here the respect of the candles did show that the 0.4 area there would be resistance. But the minute it got to here, I did trim some of my position off. And lo and behold, that I did actually catch the high of that move. Okay, but I have already rebought in. I've waited for the pullback. Now, this is just what I like to do. Okay, I rebought and I did manage to catch the low. Now, I don't always catch the high and the low. This was just kind of worked in my favour. All right, but I sold up here, and as obviously the price pulled back. This is on the 15-minute chart, which I do like to use for trading. I bought on the 50 period moving average on the 15-minute chart. All right, often when you've got a continuation trend, you come back and this is a really nice area of support to buy into. So this is where I've kind of I trimmed my position up here, I've rebought in here, and now I'm completely back in the market. Now, I've got a feeling I don't think we're going to have a huge pullback on BZT. I just don't think we're going to have it, and rightly so. And there's no reason to have a pullback. We're still criminally undervalued. There's no warrant selling going on. We're still waiting on very big news. You've had the secondary test of the weekly 200 here. And I just think maybe a few days of consolidation, possibly up until we get the news release. At the very most, you're going to pull back into these, the tops of these candles to find support. At the very most, that's where you're going to pull back, and then I can see us running again. And it's looking good. The weekly chart is looking fucking good. All right. Now, for all of those people that don't know how to trade and don't know when to sell and when to buy, I see a lot of people completely overcomplicating it. All right. You see a lot of people following like harmonics traders and all this sorts of stuff, which is fine, all right? But you don't need to go that much in depth to make money in the market. You don't need to go that much in depth to learn how to trade or how to chart. Just think about support and resistance. All these indicators and what everyone uses technically is just different ways of spinning support and resistance, all right? So all these crazy harmonics traders that are fucking charting out pictures of bats and crabs and Gartleys and whatever else, that's absolutely fine, but it's just based on shapes and patterns and Fibonacci levels of support and resistance. Okay, So, you know, there's no reason for you to go in and start trying to fucking find patterns of your nan doing the fucking Swedish helicopter, because it's a very abstract way of charting. Unless there's loads of other people trying to find your nan doing the fucking Swedish helicopter as well, the chances are you're never going to hit your target. If you ever heard the saying, keep it simple, stupid. All right, so simple stuff. Now, when we do break up through the weekly, I mean, one or two things are going to happen. When we do actually start closing above here and finding support above here, I mean, you're going to do one or two things. And again, it very much depends on news and everything else. You're either going to come up and you're going to come pull back and find support. Okay, and that's the retest. I mean, ideally, that's what you want. And that's going to give you this sort of move. Or you're simply going to come higher. You're going to find support higher. You might find support on one of these previous tops here and come up into this level of area of resistance or something like this, all right? Now, if you're going to buy, I wouldn't always wait for the pullback. There's been plenty of times I've waited for this retest and it's never happened because the market's so bullish and the market decides, the price just rips up. So the minute we close above here, again, I would start feathering in my position again here. Obviously, then if we do get a pullback, because you're always going to want to have some disposable cash on your account, I would buy in again here on the pullback. When you get the pullback and the bounce, this is also where you want to buy in. And when you start to break this high, I would start buying in again. And then that would be my position set for that leg. Now, I know we were talking about 2p and higher targets. Obviously, yes, there are lower targets, although I'm not going to be selling any of my core position at any of those lower targets. Now, anywhere that's a pivotal high or a low is going to be resistance, all right? So I know we've taken a lot of this out already, but like that where the candle whipped up there for whatever reason, okay, that is going to be an area of resistance, and people will sell that. People will probably sell that low here, okay? There will be some people who, like, you know, really like drawing Fibonacci levels and whatnot. So you could, you know, they're very roughly drawn, but I mean, you can even see here, look, I mean, I've just drawn that fib level out. You can see how on this candle here, you've had the double level of resistance. Okay, you've had this high to the low fib level drawn, and look, we touched right on the 236 of the fib level. So you had the double resistance, you had the weekly 200 coming down, and you've had the 236 as well. So that was obviously going to be an area of rejection, which it was. Now, if you were using these sorts of fib levels to pick out potential targets, and you can see again, you're coming up here into this zone, you've got the pivotal high, you've got the pivotal low. These are going to be areas of resistance. In here, you've also got the fib, which is going to be a resistance, and so on. I mean, you can see this 0.5 corresponds with these candles. That's going to be a potential area of resistance. You know, you're coming into the candle clusters here at the high, and this fib level, that's going to be an area of resistance. Okay, so the people will take profits at potentially all of these. But again, like I say, it can get fucking complicated. You don't need to be jumping around, fucking going wild, all right, trying to take profits at every one of these levels. You don't need to do it. You need to stick to your game plan. You need to think about what's going on behind the scenes, and you need to follow it through. Now, I still think this fucker's going to 10 bag in a big way. All right. I still think we're going to be, at some point, we're going to be coming up here into this zone. At least, I can just smell it. This stock just smells like an absolute fucking banger. So we're going to see what happens. I think I wouldn't advise anyone going balls deep in the trade. Okay, I don't advise anyone putting all the money they have in their accounts on the trade, and you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Okay, like I said, you need to be building your positions. You can't load the fucking donkey up with gold and try and fucking ride the hind legs off it into the sunset. All right, like I said before, the three wise men will always catch you, and Jesus is more important. So don't try and do that. Build your position slowly. We'll see what happens in the coming days. I'll see if we can do an update. But as it stands, it is looking beautiful. It really, really is looking nice. And I've got a feeling in the next couple of weeks, you're going to have the break, probably have the pullback and the retest of the highs and the weekly 200, and then it's fucking game on. I just think we're going to be fucking up here somewhere. So good luck. Fucking speak soon, fuckers.